All right. Guys, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break, then I'll be back for space news, okay? We'll do a quicker space news today. Yeah. I got to go get the cough drops or whatever. Yeah, it's 86 degrees in here, and it's 90 outside. Yeah. And, like, once again, I could solve this problem. I actually have an air conditioner downstairs in storage. There's a storage compartment underneath our apartment, like, in the basement. I'm not even bothering going to go. I don't even want to go down there and get it. Like, screw that. I need, like, there's another one. It's like it's a floor unit, but it's just, it's only for a couple of days. It's fine. And then we move, so I don't want to go through the motions, getting everything all hooked up and then just take it apart in a week. Well, we learned some stuff. This whole thing was a test article, guys, just on a side note. I built this thing just to see what would happen. And I don't think we're getting a good result because that crane is a copied version of this crane and not like scratch built like that crane is. Like, you notice this crane doesn't freak out, but then again, I haven't lifted much with that crane either, so who knows. I'm just gonna leave a note to myself. Build the upper crane from scratch. To do. Cool. All right. Good. Let me put on a video here. That was fun. I did enjoy making that thing. That was pretty cool. And it's not, the cranes are, my theory about the cranes are still right. It's not many parts. Even those complicated cranes that you just saw, they are not, each one of them is about 100 parts. So that's 200 parts to take a whole 70-ton booster and turn it right side up, which is pretty damn good. That's pretty good for the parts. I'm sure people could figure out an easier way, I know. That's okay. Nuclear program? No. No. Here. I'm going to put on the orbital mechanics video. That's always a winner. All right. I'll be back in a little bit. Space news will start at the top of the hour, dudes.
When ancient man looked to the heavens for guidance from the gods, he noticed star patterns and began to document their movement across the heavens. The ancients believed that the earth was flat, but around 350 BC, Aristotle proved that the earth was round. Later, about 150 AD, Ptolemy presented the geocentric theory, the belief that the earth is stationary at the center of the universe, with the sun, moon, stars, and planets revolving around it in complex orbits. In the 1500s, Nicholas Copernicus of Poland presented the heliocentric theory, the belief that the Earth revolves around the sun as it rotates on its axis. This aspect of astronomy evolved into an intricate study of planetary motion, known as orbital mechanics. Today, orbital mechanics is applied to space flight and satellites that orbit the Earth or travel beyond our solar system. In the early 1600s, Johann Kepler, a German mathematician, using the data on planetary observations collected by the Danish scientist Tycho Brahe, developed 3 laws of planetary motion. Kepler's first law states,
All planets move in elliptical orbits with the Sun at one focus and the other focus empty.
Applied to Earth satellites, the center of the Earth becomes one focus, with the other focus empty. For circular orbits, the two foci coincide. Kepler's second law, the law of areas, states,
The line joining the planet to the Sun sweeps over equal areas in equal time intervals.
when a satellite orbits, the line joining it to the Earth sweeps over equal areas in equal periods of time. If areas 1, 2, and 3 are equal, times 1, 2, and 3 are also equal. Therefore, the speed of the satellite changes depending on its distance from the center of the Earth. Speed is greatest at the point in the orbit closest to the Earth, called perigee, and is slowest at the point farthest from the Earth, called apogee. It is important to note that the orbit followed by a satellite is not dependent on its mass. A large, heavy satellite could be in the same orbit with a small, light one, each sweeping out equal areas in equal periods of time. Kepler's third law, the law of periods, relates the time required for a planet to make one complete trip around the Sun to its mean distance from the Sun.
For any planet, the square of its period of revolution is directly proportional to the cube of its mean distance from the Sun.
Applied to Earth satellites, Kepler's third law explains that the farther a satellite is from the Earth, the longer it will take to complete an orbit, the greater the distance it will travel to complete an orbit, and the slower its average speed will be. Isaac Newton, the father of classical mechanics, laid the groundwork for orbital mechanics. He combined the work of Kepler and others to formulate the law of universal gravitation and the three Newtonian laws of motion. While Kepler's laws provided a conceptual model of orbital motion, Newton's laws provided the foundation for the mathematical description of orbits. They explain why a satellite stays in orbit. Newton's law of universal gravitation.
Any two objects in the universe, such as the Earth and the Moon, attract each other with a force directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them.
Stated more simply, the more massive the objects are, or the closer they are, the greater the gravitational pull between them. Newton's first law of motion.
A body in motion will keep moving at the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an external force.
A satellite moves in a curved path around the Earth because the Earth's gravitational pull acts as an external force on it. Newton's second law of motion.
If the sum of the forces acting on an object is not zero, the object will have an acceleration proportional to the magnitude and in the direction of the net force.
Newton's second law states that force equals mass times acceleration. It is this mathematical equation and the equation for universal gravitation that forms the basis for calculating orbits. Newton's third law of motion explains how a satellite gets into orbit.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
If you blow up a balloon and let it go, the balloon is pushed forward by the action of the air rushing out of it. A rocket's exhaust gases are like the air rushing out of the balloon. The following illustrates how a satellite stays in orbit. If a man stands on a mountain and fires a projectile horizontally, gravity will cause the path of the projectile to curve downward and it will strike the Earth. However, if the man fires the projectile fast enough at a specific speed, the curvature of its path due to gravity will match the curvature of the Earth under it. The projectile will then fall around the Earth, becoming an Earth-orbiting satellite. A projectile fired even faster will have a flight path away from the Earth, but gravity will act to slow the projectile down, change its flight path, and pull it back toward Earth. If the projectile's velocity increased enough, a velocity sufficient to escape the Earth's gravitational pull will be reached. This velocity is known as the escape velocity. It is equal to about 7 miles per second at the Earth's surface. The preceding description did not consider atmospheric drag and the Earth's rotation, both of which will affect the trajectory of the projectile. It illustrated the principles governing a satellite's orbit. There are 6 numbers called the orbital elements, which specify the size, shape, and orientation of an orbit in space, as well as the location of the spacecraft in the orbit. Based on an orbit which is an ellipse, the 6 orbital elements are length of the semi-major axis, eccentricity, inclination, right ascension of the ascending node, argument of perigee, time of perigee passage. The major axis of an elliptical orbit is the line joining the perigee and apogee. This line is also referred to as the line of apsides. The first orbital element is the semi-major axis. It is simply 1/2 the major axis. Circular orbits have no apogee or perigee. Therefore, the semi-major axis is simply 1/2 the diameter of the orbit. The semi-major axis is used to define the size of the orbit. From this, the orbital period, or time that it takes for the satellite to complete one orbit, can be calculated. The shape of an orbit is defined by the second orbital element called eccentricity. For all ellipses, the value of eccentricity lies between 0 and 1. The larger the value, the more elliptical the orbit. A spacecraft in Earth orbit with an eccentricity equal to or greater than 1 will escape the Earth's gravitational field. When orienting an orbit in space, a 3-dimensional coordinate system must be defined. The coordinate system commonly used is the geocentric equatorial coordinate system, which has its origin at the Earth's center. This coordinate system is a non-rotating reference system in which a satellite's orbital plane tends to remain fixed relative to the stars while the Earth turns beneath it. The XY plane is the Earth's equatorial plane. The positive x-axis points to the vernal equinox. This is the point where the sun appears to cross the Earth's equator on its way north on the first day of spring each year. The z-axis is along the Earth's spin axis toward the North Pole. Nodes are points in a satellite's orbit which intersect the Earth's equatorial plane. The ascending node is the point at which the spacecraft crosses the equator going from south to north. The descending node is where the spacecraft crosses the equator going from north to south. The line joining the two nodes is called the line of nodes. The orientation of an orbit is determined by three orbital element angles. The right ascension of the ascending node is the angle between the x-axis and the ascending node. It is always measured eastward from the direction away from the vernal equinox in the Earth's equatorial plane. The argument of perigee is the angle between the ascending node and the point of perigee. It is measured in the orbital plane in the direction of spacecraft motion. Inclination is the angle between the equatorial plane and the orbital plane. A satellite which has an eastward velocity component at the ascending node has an orbital inclination lying between 0 and 90 degrees. Such an orbit is called a prograde orbit. A satellite which moves due north at the ascending node is in a polar orbit. Polar orbits have an orbital inclination of exactly 90 degrees. A satellite with a westward velocity component at the ascending node is in a retrograde orbit and has an orbital inclination between 90 and 180 degrees. The 5 orbital elements explained thus far describe the size, shape, and orientation of the orbit in space. The final element is a time value used to locate the satellite in its orbit. A satellite moves in a very predictable manner. It stays on schedule. Thus, if the time at which a satellite passes a particular point is known, the time when it will pass any other point can be determined. The particular point chosen is perigee, and the time of perigee passage is the last of the 6 orbital elements. The 6 orbital elements depict a spacecraft's orbit in non-rotating coordinates. To visualize an orbit relative to the rotating Earth, a projection traces the spacecraft's position on the Earth's surface. The projected path is called the ground track. As a satellite orbits the Earth, the ground track shifts westward. There are 2 causes for this. First, the primary contributor is the Earth's rotation toward the east under the orbital plane. Second, because the Earth is not a uniform sphere and bulges at the equator, its gravity is greatest at the equator. This causes the orbital plane to rotate slowly around the Earth's polar axis in a motion called precession. Precession is toward the west for prograde orbits and toward the east for retrograde orbits. For low Earth orbits, such as those of the Space Shuttle at 150 miles altitude, the westward shift of the ground track due to the Earth's rotation is about 22.5 degrees, while the shift due to precession is only about a half degree. The inclination of a satellite orbit determines the north and south latitude limits of its ground track. The minimum orbital inclination is equal to the latitude of the launch site and is achieved by launching due east. For example, if a satellite is launched due east out of the Kennedy Space Center, which is located at 28.5 degrees north latitude, its orbital inclination will be 28.5 degrees, and the limits of its ground track will vary between 28.5 degrees north latitude and 28.5 degrees south latitude. If launch azimuth or direction of flight at launch, measured eastward from due north, is increased from due east, the orbital inclination angle increases as well as the maximum latitude of the north-south ground track. Therefore, the latitude limits of the ground track equal the new launch inclination. Similarly, if launch azimuth is decreased from due east, orbital inclination once again increases as well as the latitude limits of the ground track. The maximum practical inclination from a Kennedy Space Center launch is 57 degrees, This limit is imposed for safety considerations in order to keep the spacecraft and its booster system from flying over land masses during the ascent phase. To obtain an orbit with an inclination greater than 57 degrees, the spacecraft is launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. Vandenberg offers the opportunity for southerly launches with orbit inclinations between approximately 70 degrees prograde through 138 degrees retrograde. A significant advantage of launching from Vandenberg is the capability to economically achieve polar orbits with ground tracks covering all latitudes, from the North Pole to the South Pole. The Earth is constantly turning, and all points on its surface have an eastward velocity, with the greatest velocity occurring at the equator. The farther the launch site is from the equator, or as launch azimuth is increased or decreased from due east, less of the Earth's rotational velocity will be imparted to the launch vehicle. This requires more fuel to get into orbit, or payload weight will have to be decreased. Launches due east from a position on or near the equator, such as the Kourou launch site in French Guiana, used by the European Space Agency, acquire the advantage of a free velocity gain of about 1,500 feet per second. This compares to the approximate 1,300 feet per second gain available at the further north latitude of the Kennedy Space Center. Launching from an equatorial site offers a significant advantage in payload weight capability and minimizes the amount of fuel needed to achieve an equatorial orbit. Since many satellites operate in equatorial orbits, these are important considerations. Spacecraft are launched within a specified time interval called the launch window. Some of the factors affecting the launch window are launch and orbit lighting conditions, sun angles, payload orbit requirements, rendezvous phasing if a rendezvous is planned, tracking and communication requirements, and collision avoidance with other orbiting objects, to name a few. One of the factors defining the launch window for the Space Shuttle is launch lighting conditions, which can be illustrated by plotting time versus day of year. On this plot, we see daylight and darkness at the launch site. The longer daylight hours occur in the middle of the year, summertime. If daylight conditions are required for a convenient emergency landing site for the Space Shuttle, the launch window would now look like this. During the winter months, the available launch window for lighting conditions alone can be as little as 3 hours per day. When combined with the many other launch factors, the launch window becomes even more constrained. The choice of a particular launch vehicle for a mission depends upon the weight and size of the payload and the desired orbit. Expendable rockets used to place spacecraft in orbit usually consist of several stages that may incorporate both solid and liquid propellants for propulsion. When the fuel in each stage is depleted, the spent stage is jettisoned. Staging offers the advantage of discarding weight when it is no longer needed. The Space Shuttle is a two-stage system. At liftoff, the 2 solid rocket boosters and 3 Space Shuttle main engines are all producing thrust. After approximately 2 minutes of flight, at an altitude of 25 miles, the fuel in the solid rocket boosters is depleted and they are jettisoned. The 3 main engines, fueled by liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen carried in the external tank, continue to burn for several minutes until the shuttle reaches its cutoff velocity. At this time, the main engines are shut down and the external tank is jettisoned. 2 additional burns using the orbiter's maneuvering system, referred to as ohms, are required to place the orbiter in its final orbit. The OMS-1 burn occurs about 2 minutes after main engine shutdown and establishes the orbital apogee point. The OMS-2 burn takes place approximately 30 minutes later and circularizes the orbit. Once satellites are launched and put into orbit, it is often necessary to change the orbit with an on-orbit burn. The common term used in describing on-orbit burns or engine firings is delta V. Delta V is the incremental change in spacecraft velocity measured in feet per second resulting from the burn. The amount of fuel used during a burn depends on the desired delta V change and the mass of the spacecraft. Because the amount of fuel carried is limited, fuel consumption is one of the primary considerations in spacecraft mission planning and is critical to orbit lifetime. On orbit, a spacecraft can thrust in any direction. Burns along the flight path, forward and backward, are the most common. A unique feature of any orbital burn is that if no other burns occur, the spacecraft will later always pass again through the point of burn. Forward burns increase the spacecraft's velocity and are known as posigrade burns. With posigrade burns, the flight path of the vehicle will be raised at all points except the burn point. Burns opposite the direction of flight, which slow the spacecraft down, are called retrograde burns. For retrograde burns, the orbit will be lowered at all points except the burn point. The greater the delta V, the greater the difference between the pre-burn and post-burn orbits. Burns can be combined into maneuver sequences to change orbit size, shape, or orientation. One of the most common maneuver sequences is made up of two burns and is used to accomplish an orbit transfer between two circular orbits in the same orbital plane. The most energy-efficient transfer between two orbits of this type is the Hohmann transfer. The Hohmann transfer is actually 1/2 of an elliptical orbit with its perigee in one of the orbits and its apogee in the other. The burns occur at the perigee and apogee of the transfer orbit. The use of the Hohmann transfer minimizes the delta V required, thus having the advantage of using minimum fuel. The disadvantage of the Hohmann transfer is that it takes longer than most other transfers. The type of the transfer sequence depends on the mission and the amount of fuel available. For example, a space rescue where time is critical might use a fast transfer, while a routine satellite deployment where fuel saved for later use is important would most likely use a Hohmann transfer. The burns discussed so far have all been maneuvers in the original orbital plane and do not affect orbit inclination or node position. There are situations which require an orbital plane change, such as setting up a rendezvous or placing a satellite in an equatorial orbit. To change the inclination, the thrust vector must be directed at an angle to the orbital plane. A thrust with a component that is perpendicular to the orbital plane at either the ascending or descending node will rotate the orbital plane about the line of nodes. A northerly out-of-plane thrust at the ascending node will increase the inclination of a prograde orbit, while a southerly thrust will decrease it. Out-of-plane thrusts require considerable amounts of fuel and are performed only when absolutely required. The Space Shuttle, for example, using all of its onboard propellant, is capable of an on-orbit plane change of less than 3 degrees. Satellite orbital planes and altitudes are determined by their design mission, which very often includes a field of view requirement for optical or communications purposes. The field of view of a satellite is defined as the area of the Earth's surface that is in view from the satellite at any given time. Satellites in high orbits have greater fields of view than those in lower orbits. For example, A satellite at an altitude of 800 nautical miles has a circular field of view with a diameter of about 4,100 nautical miles. A satellite at 200 nautical miles has a circular field of view with a diameter of about 2,000 nautical miles. Low-orbit satellites are often used for photography and other types of Earth observation. A satellite placed in a low-inclination circular orbit at an altitude of about 19,300 nautical miles will have an angular velocity exactly equal to that of the Earth's. The satellite would seem to remain stationary in longitude as viewed from the ground. Such orbits are called geosynchronous and are used to provide a continuous communications capability among any system of ground stations within their field of view. The geosynchronous orbit field of view is constant and is limited to a latitude zone of about 70 degrees north and south of the equator. Effective satellite communications from geosynchronous orbit is not possible at either pole. However, because of their altitude, their field of view covers nearly half the globe. A special type of geosynchronous orbit with an inclination of 0 degrees is called a geostationary orbit. It appears to hover over a fixed point on the Earth's surface at the equator. Most U.S. communication satellites are in geosynchronous orbits, providing near worldwide communications coverage. For effective communications at high latitudes, the Molniya orbit is used. Molniya is the Russian word for lightning and is an orbit used extensively by the Soviet Union for its communication satellites. The Molniya orbit is highly eccentric with an apogee that is near the geosynchronous altitude and an inclination of about 63 degrees. The satellite slows down at apogee in the northern hemisphere and whips through perigee in the southern hemisphere. This provides communications in the northern hemisphere for up to 75% of its orbital period. Several satellites properly spaced in Molniya orbits can provide constant communications at the northern latitudes. Navigation satellites, such as the U.S. Navy's Transit System and the Joint Service Navstar GPS Global Positioning System, use lower orbits so that a user can receive signals from more than one satellite at any time. Another frequently used orbit is known as a sun-synchronous orbit. These take advantage of the precession of the orbital plane caused by the Earth not being a perfect sphere. All sun-synchronous orbits are highly inclined retrograde orbits which precess eastward around the Earth's polar axis at the rate of 1 revolution per year. Since the Earth-Sun line also revolves eastward at the rate of 1 revolution per year, the orbital plane will maintain a constant orientation relative to the Earth-Sun line. If the satellite's period is then synchronized with the rotation of the Earth, it will pass over the same point on the Earth's surface at the same local time at a regular interval. A sun-synchronous satellite ensures that a constant sun angle and uniform lighting exist for the same field of view from pass to pass. Satellites such as those in the Defense Meteorological Satellite Program and Landsat are sun-synchronous, imaging the entire Earth on a regular schedule. The gravitational attraction of the Earth on a spacecraft causes it to move in its orbit around the Earth. There are other, much smaller forces which will cause a spacecraft to deviate from its desired orbit. These forces cause what are known as orbital perturbations. Orbital precession, which is used to obtain sun-synchronous orbits, results from the perturbing effects of the Earth's non-spherical shape. Other perturbing forces are the gravitational pull of the Sun, the Moon, and planets, and solar winds, which are charged streams of protons and electrons that heat the Earth's atmosphere and increase atmospheric drag. In most cases, perturbing forces can be compensated for in the spacecraft and orbit design and present no major problems. If the forces disturb the orbit too much, thrusters can be fired to re-establish its desired orbital orientation or altitude. This is particularly true for spacecraft orbiting at very low altitudes, where the effects of atmospheric drag are greater and, if not compensated for, will eventually cause the spacecraft to deorbit. A spacecraft's operational lifetime is frequently limited only by the amount of fuel available to maintain its desired orbit. When its useful life is complete, a satellite is left in orbit or is deorbited, burning up when re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. When the Space Shuttle completes its orbital mission, it executes a precise retrograde burn to initiate its controlled return to Earth. This burn occurs nearly halfway around the Earth from the landing site. The new orbit established by the retrograde burn causes the orbiter to enter the Earth's atmosphere about 4,000 miles from the landing site. During the period the orbiter descends from its orbital altitude to atmospheric re-entry, its attitude is maintained by the use of reaction control jets located in the nose and tail of the orbiter. Once the orbiter enters the Earth's atmosphere, its wing and tail aerosurfaces begin to become effective and gradually replace the jets for attitude control. As the orbiter nears the landing field, it maneuvers to a long, straight-in approach at an angle of 17 to 19 degrees. Nearing the runway, it executes a flare maneuver to reduce its sink rate and glides to a touchdown at approximately 230 miles per hour. As the orbiter rolls to a stop, our journey into the world of orbital mechanics comes to an end for now. This is only the basics of orbital mechanics, an intricate study of planetary and satellite motion. The next time you see a launch, you will see it from a different, somewhat knowledgeable perspective. You will understand the fundamentals of spaceflight.
Turn the lights back on. All right. Shut the projector off. What'd you think? Orbital mechanics. Somewhat. Dude, I feel... Yeah, it's almost like... it's insulting at the beginning there. It's like... He's like, nah, I just went through a lot of big words. And if you managed to understand them, well, congratulations. You know a little bit. You know a little bit of things. Just a little bit. Okay. Well, I feel a little bit better. I got some food. Still coughing up the storm, dudes. Let's do space news and we'll kind of play it by ear, okay? Alright. So, what's going on in the space world? Well, the Starlink launch went this morning and it was pretty good. That was this morning. That was 6 hours ago. But we did get that. These pictures coming from SpaceX. It was a great... You done? All right. All right. So we did get these shots from the Starlink mission. As far as we know, everything went well. This was the mission that actually scrubbed yesterday. They said it was something wrong with a redundant control valve in the first stage propulsion system. It was something weird with one of the Merlins that the auto sequencer saw and it didn't like it. SPAC. Okay. So there is that. But yeah, there's actually a pretty good amount of interesting topics here to kind of mess with here. Let me there's a bunch of good stuff. Let me transfer over the rest of these links. But yeah, we did have the Starlink launch and that was fun. You know what's messed up, dudes? I find that if I eat something, the COVID symptoms go away for a little bit. I mean, I'll probably... Oh, dear. I'll probably be back to coughing very soon, but I guess we'll go dark mode voice EJ. Bring the indoor voice EJ today for the space news. We can get rid of that. We can keep that. Okay. Alright, so let's go here. Alright, I think, yeah, here. We can start with this. Here, ready? Don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, cool. Alright, how about... Oh, there is one more video that I want to show you guys. So, yesterday, this footage is coming from NASA spaceflight. It's coming from Jack Byer. Jack Byer's the guy that drove up there and took this footage. Yesterday, NASA did a test on a 5-segment SLS booster called Flight Support Booster 2. And NASA Spaceflight was up there. Taos may or may not have been linking pictures of this yesterday to me, and I'm like, Here.
T-minus 20 seconds.
Here. This might get loud, so headphone users.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Headphone users. Look at this shot that they got.
T-minus 10, 9.
Watch this.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeet! Oh. Power! Yeah, the mirror didn't make it. Is that some nozzle control that I see there? Oh, look at the TVC. That's nice. Wow. So the flight support booster puts out about 14,000 kilonewtons of thrust. One of them, and there's 2 of them on SLS, and that's about 3 million pounds of thrust. So that booster has enough thrust force that is basically equivalent to like a 3 million pound block of concrete crushing something. That amount of force. So like if you got 3 million pounds of concrete above you, or above a car, and you let it go, and that's how much force that thing pushes up with. That's just wild. Oh, they're turning the nozzle again. See that? See the nozzle moving? They were testing an electric thrust vector control system, so they have linear actuators moving that moving the nozzle right there. There's tail off and flame out. Wait, Bram, you said that this is 2 hours south of you? Why didn't you go, Mavans? There's the inerting system moving into position. Quencher, it's just shooting out CO2, guys. It's just a big fire extinguisher. Nah, Phil. I don't think they have that. Just batteries, because it's an inerted booster, right? It's a one-time use booster, so why you worry about reusing it? Who cares?
Plus 170 seconds. High-speed data
pretty good, man. These views from NSF are fantastic. Look at that.
High-speed recording is complete.
Speed data operators.
Thermo King.
Low-speed data recording complete.
Why didn't you go, Sniper? I know the reason, but yeah. Looks like Camden Spaceport is dead. I put it together with the info. Camden Spaceport? What the hell is that? Yep, it's just going to inert the booster there. You can see that there was some... It looked like there was a little bit of scorching on the outside of the nozzle, but that's as expected. Fire! 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 Yep. Replay the burn? Oh, my pleasure. Ready? Yeah. How's that? There's the booster plug getting absolutely obliterated, and you see that mirror? That's the last time you're going to see that mirror. Yep. And it's gone. Yep, that's gone. Camden Spaceport would have been located at the southern tip of Georgia near the border with Florida. Yep, yep. Cool. Well then. Hey guys, did you notice that this camera has a shade? You got to make sure you get your lighting right. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? You got to get your lighting correct. You got to make sure you get your lighting right, dudes. All right. Oh man, look at that. The discoloration that you're seeing right at the end of the nozzle is from the ablator burning off. Boosters are bad at self-reflection. No introspection at all, Smile. Yeah, I got you, Prime. You can actually see this camera in the lower left. Oh, yeah. Cool. Dude, that footage is awesome. This is in slow motion, and that the gas looks like it's fast forwarding. I just actually want to check something here. Let me see something. I want to see right at ignition. I saw something down over here. Watch right there. When they... Yeah. What was that? The only thing I can think that would be is the charge to detonate the explosive bolt, but... What the hell that's doing, bro? Bruh. External indicator? Yeah, maybe they use it to sync up the, There's definitely something there. Maybe they used it to sync up the cameras or something. I'm not sure what that's for. Yeah, see it? Huh. The light trigger for the camera? Yeah. So look right here. Watch the nozzle. Oh, dude. Gimbal. It's not gimbal. That's thrust vector control. There's no gimbal in this design. That is the lamp that goes off before ignition to sync the high-speed film. Yeah, that's what I thought. You know that the separator motors are inert because of the way that they are. But yeah, this was from the FSB test yesterday. Dude, there's an insane amount of power. 3 million pounds of thrust, give or take, coming out of this thing. This thing, for its size, lets out an insane amount of energy. This is like A Falcon 9 has like 2/3 the thrust of this, which is unbelievable. Is that all? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's the tail off. They're losing chamber pressure, which is normal. See it kind of flashing? And then your combustion chamber goes below minimum viable. Cavitation inside of the combustion chamber happens, and... yeah, you see that little puff? That's it. Still got a nice fire, though. Yeah, and little bits of residual propellant inside of the combustion chamber going off here. That's what all that crap is. You can see, if you note these flames, guys, look. The flames here have a lot of soot in them. You notice that, Shadowman. Yeah, that's because this is the leftover. This is just residual. So the mixture of oxidizer to fuel is completely off. So it's burning super rich. But once again, it's just burning up the residual inside of there. Yeah, and pray, yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of extra. Oh. Fellas, there is flames coming from the inside of this. There's flames coming from between the nozzle and the aft SRB skirt. What was the mirror for we were seeing earlier? Oh, the mirror? That thing? What do you think it's for, Shadow? Don't say it, Chad. Shadow, I don't mean to put you on the spot. What do you, like, think about it. Okay, so why would there be a mirror there? They know they're going to lose it. What do you think? They want they think they want bad luck? Right? You don't want bad luck. But does it technically count if, I mean, it's not breaking the mirror, it's vaporizing it. I mean, to see the explosion fully. Northrop Grumman has a camera right here. See that camera? See the camera? The camera's pointing right at the mirror. And what that mirror is supposed to be capturing is this, right here. When the SRB ignites, it doesn't take very long. But there is a little bit of time. There's the flash going off, right? And then as the chamber, with the chamber you get a little bit of an overpressure event. And the reason why this smoke ring comes out is because it's now pressurized inside of the combustion chamber here. And that high pressure goes out the nozzle and it decompresses really quick inside of the nozzle, and you get that layer of smoke. Right? And then that's what the mirror is there for. You can actually kind of see it in this picture. The mirror is there to watch the business end of the booster. There's a camera that points at the mirror, because you can't put a camera over here. That's not a good idea at all. It's there to look at this plug. You see this debris right here? That's parts of the booster plug. So the booster plug is there, and it's in the throat of the SRB right there, right above the nozzle. It's there, and it's just polyurethane. It's a polyurethane foam plug. It's not anything special. It's there to make sure no foreign object debris gets inside of the booster. You don't want like a bird nesting in there or something, or a rat or a chipmunk or something, or in this case like a prairie dog or whatever, like going in there. So the plug is there to prevent foreign object debris from going inside. The mirror is there to capture the overpressure event blowing out the plug. And right after this frame, this mirror ceased to exist. Like, it's not even... Here, let me go over to Northrop Grumman's. Let me go over to... So let's go FSB to rocket. So... Watch this. So the mirror is there. See, these are NASA's cameras. See that? See the mirror? There it is. And then there's some kind of tripod right there. And then there's, like I said, I think there's a bunch of instrumentation here so they can get depth of field, so they can check the depth of the plug being blown out. But very shortly, there is not about to be that there at all, ever. beautiful day. Ah! That's nice. So you saw that mirror there. And then let's get to the end of it, right? You get to the end of the test. There is nothing there. There is no sign of it. It's gone completely. That thing got vaporized, sir. Vaporized, blown out to sea. It's gone. There is nothing there. Anything that's behind this booster, you gonna lose. Aren't they worried about the bad luck they get from breaking the mirror? Is it bad luck if you, is it bad luck if it vaporizes? I think it melts rather than breaks. Yeah. I mean, is it, it's gone. It's gone. It's all gone. See, there it was. This mirror is no more. It has ceased to be. Mirror, mirror, behind the booster hood. Oh, nope, it's gone. Boom, baby. Is there combustion going on in the booster, or is it just hot gases until the nozzle? Tylen, there is combustion. When that flash went off is when they hit the igniter. It takes a little bit of time, and by a little bit of time, I mean like a couple milliseconds to pressurize the combustion chamber. So, yeah, it takes a second, but yeah, like a millionth of a second. But yeah, that's, they do ignite the booster. The propellants are ignited from the top of the booster, so over there somewhere, like about 200 feet that way. And it takes a second for those flames to reach the nozzle. While those flames are filling up the combustion chamber and pressurizing it, yeah, you get this gnarly overpressure event. Watch. See, that goes off. You see this? Did you see the ring? The ring is from the depressurization. If the mirror breaks on the test end and no one's around to see it, does it exist? Yeah. No. Maybe? Look at that. Squish. That's cool, huh? Yeah, it takes a second. That's Haze Gray's footage, isn't it, Vulcan? Oh, there's the plug. Yeah, the plug in the mirror. Vulcan, I did a whole thing on that with that exact footage yesterday. Did a whole thing on it. I'll show it for people here. Yeah, this is what the camera on the camera that's looking at the mirror sees. You can tell it's the mirror because you can see kind of behind it over there. Watch. See? The initial overpressure event blows the plug out. Right? And then it's about to get... Guys, it's about to get warm. It's about to get really warm. Not... right in this area here. Not here or here so much, but right here. Kinder, 66-month resub. Is this for Artemis 2? It's a support booster. So this is a test mule popsicle. They were testing electric thrust vector controls. They have an electric TVC, battery operated linear actuator for the gimbal. Or for the thrust vectoring. It's not gimbal. Gimbal is different. Gimbal is a different form of thrust vectoring. And the plug gets blown out, and then you get a nice fiery... It'll take a second for the booster to get up to flight pressure, or to get up to like combustion chamber pressure. But once it does, that happens. Isn't that cool? That's the a couple of that was the mirror shots. Vulcan, thank you. How much mass are they saving with the electric system? I'm not sure if they're necessarily saving mass, Hellfish, but more simplifying it because the boosters of the future are not designed to be fished out and brought back. So if you come up with a simpler system that's about the same mass, right? It's not going to be that big of a deal.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Pretty sure that's why they switched off of the hydraulic with the APU, the booster APU. and went with the electric and batteries in the aft skirt because you ain't getting the boosters back. SLS is fully expendable. They're not bringing any part of it back. It may take a second to get up to thrust, a millionth of a second, maybe. Yeah, it thrust good fast, very quickly. Keep up the good work. We really enjoy your content. Thanks, Ben. Crazy. What a nutso thing. SRBs don't really ever shut off. They just flame out. You're always going to have a little bit of residual in here, and that residual just kind of stays on fire. Now, when the booster is flying through the air after it separates, you know, the second that it turns business end towards lee or towards windward side, the air goes up in there and it puts all the fire out. But yeah, pretty crazy. It looked pretty successful to me. I am seeing some things here and there, Zero, that I can't really tell if I'm a fan of. But then again, I don't know enough about SRBs to say whether it's good or bad. Like, there is definitely some residual fire on the outside of the nozzle there that's near the heat blankets on the SRB. I don't know if that's a good thing right there. Something's burning down there that... I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that, but... that could, once again, that could just be residual. It's probably residual. It's not like you have to worry about the nozzle getting burnt, you know? Here. SRB? SRB? No, not SRB. Delta 4 Heavy. Does the SRB need an O2 source vents, or is it in the fuel? The oxidizer is baked in like a cake, Mutter. Yeah. The oxidizer is ammonium perchlorate. They're using hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene, and it's basically mixed. It's basically mixed with the ammonium perchlorate with an aluminum stabilizer. Yeah, SRBs burn aluminum. Cool story, huh? The heck is an aluminum falcon? Interestingly, the Atlas V guidance computer actively measures the thrust input of the GM63, and once it falls below a TWR of 1 for all the boosters, it triggers the staging event. Yep. I guess it didn't omega itself on the test stand. Nope. We love ammonium perchlorate, just don't breathe it in. Yeah. Yeah, Chris. I love the smell of HTPB in the morning. Imagine if Delta 4 Heavy was all AJ260s. That'd be nice. Saturn 1B Heavy. Do I have to tell you what you can do with aluminum stabilizers? Wrong impression, but I can't do many impressions right now, or I'll start coughing. I'm trying to keep my voice down. Trying to keep it down. Keep it down. Summer down now. Summer down now. Summer down now. Anyway, I thought you guys would appreciate that. That was really awesome footage. Now, on to something completely different. Or is it? No. Nice, Vulcan. That's the Vega C launch. This was the VV21 launch. Burbs. This is better footage than the footage that we got the other day. Like that. And the bird's like, what the frick was that? Please cut the camera when the bass drops. Please. 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 I'll do it. Damn it. Didn't time today, Hellfish. Story of my life. This is the shot I want to see right here. That's nice. Want to know something cursed? Vega C makes only 150 kilonewtons less than Vulcan VC0. That P120C is a yeeter of a motor, dude. Oh man. Hey, Dendo, how are you? Damn. Oh, wait, I slowed it down to 0.25 speed. This one needs to go. Oh, it's solid first, second, and third stage, Fozzie. Yeah, first, second, and third, dude. The camera exposure is gonna keep up with the light, and you'll see the exposure will go down. Look, up, excuse me. And look, oh, that is cherry, dude. That's cool. I always say that you can really tell if a rocket engine is working correctly if the plume is very consistent. Now, don't get me wrong, this is an SRB, so the plume isn't going to be clear. It's going to be really turbulent because SRBs put out big clouds of smoke. Because you got to remember, it's not SRBs aren't efficient. They aren't really that efficient. They are made to make power. But for an SRB, that plume does not get cleaner than that. That's really crisp plume. That's a really crisp plume for an SRB. That's really good. Look at that. Cyborg, you seeing this? Look at how crisp it is. It's perfect. It is freaking perfect. It's yeah, Dendo, we're watching the Vega C launch. They released some nice slow-mo footage, and it's, dude, it is very nice. It's straight fire. Yep. That's really, really nice. Really good job from our European counterparts there. And I don't say that very often. That's really good. Really good. It's pretty sweet, Cyborg, isn't it? Yeah, it's freaking cool. Later! 2.18 TWR off the pad from Vega. Those P120C boosters, this first stage thing right here, that's a P120C. The P120C is the side boosters for Ariane 6. So the ESA's medium duty launcher and Ariane 6, their heavy duty launcher, have a common component, which is actually really cool. That's really smart. For once we get some great footage, yeah, thanks to ESA and not thanks to Ariane and their crappy stream, dude. The ESA stream was money, dude. It was great. Did you hear the commentary? The guy quoted Rush. The guy on the ESA the guy on the ESA cast when Vega launched, he's technology high on the leading edge of life. Do 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 do. He quoted Rush. And then he said, it's off like George Russell in a race car. And I'm like, you like racing too, huh? Oh. I guess we're friends now. Yeah, those guys should commentate every launch and all. That's what I said at the time. I mean, look at this freaking footage, dude. Oh, man. Commentary was great. Footage was great. That's how you host a webcast. Joe got gifted a sub. I don't know, man. The community's been wicked good to me lately. I think it's because people think I have no money. It's probably because house, but you know that's not far from the truth. But also, yeah, Joe, it is a very, very nice shot. Oh man, see how uniform that is? A nice uniform plume coming out of a rocket, guys, is a very good way to tell that a rocket is nice and healthy. That is working exactly as planned. If you see like flames, sometimes rockets you see like sparks and stuff coming out the side. That's fine. That does happen. But for a solid, it don't get better than that. Yeah, the guy does an interplanetary, the podcast called Interplanetary Podcast. Dude, I'd love to go talk to that dude. Be like, yo, you like Rush, Formula One, and rockets? Guess we're friends now. Oops. So, yeah, it's really good stuff. All right, little bit of a subject change. We actually got some information from Blue Origin on things for a change. Yeah, for a change. So, here's the first bit coming from Blue. It's about their NS-22 mission. New Shepard NS-22 will include Dudes Perfect, Kobe Cotton, Mario Ferreira, Vanessa O'Brien, Clint Kelly III, Sarah Sabri, and Steve Young. We got the crew for the next New Shepard mission, which is pretty sweet. That's pretty cool. More people get dumped up into space, coming right back down. That's pretty good. Portuguese? No, English. Oh, I get it. Mario Ferreira is a Portuguese entrepreneur, investor, and president of Pluris Investments Group, which includes more than 40 companies spanning tourism, media, TV, and radio, real estate, insurance, and renewable energy. One of these things doesn't go with the rest of those, but Tim Dodd was almost selected for that flight in a contest. Yeah, he lost to Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect brigaded because they're bigger than Timmy is. And that's just a shame. I might have to go talk to some people about that, you know. Hey, guy raced Dakar. Cool. Guy raced Dakar in 2007, ran the London Marathon in 2010, and has been a scuba diver since he was 20. In 2003, Mario was decorated by the President of Portugal with the title of Comandante. What about Dude Perfect? Dude, that's perfect. Vanessa is a British-American explorer. Following NS-22, Vanessa will become the first woman to reach extremes on land, sea, and air, completing the Explorer's Extreme Trifecta, a Guinness World Record. She'll become the first woman to reach Earth's highest peak, its deepest point in the ocean, the Challenger Deep, and cross the Kármán line. Cool. She's an advocate for climate change and a champion of women's equality in education, carrying the UN women's flag to the summit of K2. Cool. Neat. Clint Kelly managed research and technology programs focused primarily on computer science and robotics, while in government in government and in industry. In 1984, he started the Autonomous Land Vehicle Project while at DARPA, and is credited with starting the development of the technology base leading to today's driverless cars. He and his wife have photographed wildlife on every continent from the high Arctic to Antarctica with an emphasis on big cats. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Polar bears and all 21 species of penguins. Guys, I'm sure Clint's a great guy. I'm sure he's a great guy. But also, if it's something that I learned in 2020, it's to just straight up avoid people that like big cats. Just avoid them at all costs. Yeah. Yeah. Nope. There's a person's like, oh, hey, Jay, how you doing? I'm like, oh, hey, man, how's things? And they're like, oh, that's cool. It's good. It's great to meet you. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's great to meet you too, buddy. And they're like, hey, I like big cats. I'd be like, okay. I have to go pick up my friend. Bye. Why? Why? Because you'll never financially recover. Sarah Savri. Sarah is an Egyptian mechanical and biomedical engineer and founder of the Deep Space Initiative, a nonprofit aiming to increase accessibility for space research. She became Egypt's first female analog astronaut. In 2021, I don't know what does that mean? In 2021, after completing a 2-week moon mission. Oh, okay, yeah. 2-week moon mission simulating the extreme conditions astronauts experience in orbital space. She earned her bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering at the American University in Cairo. Got it. And a master's in biomedical engineering from Politecnico di Milano. The Milan Polytechnic. Yeah, okay, got it. She's currently pursuing a PhD in aerospace sciences with a focus on spacesuit design. Sarah's fluent in Arabic, French, English, and currently resides in Berlin, where none of those previous aforementioned languages are the native language. I'm kidding. It was a joke. It's a joke. You could probably get by just speaking English over there. This will sound like a weird demand, but do you have dark mode in your browser? I'm getting flashbanged. I do. And I used it for a long time, but I remember we shut it off because we were trying to read a website and it didn't work. But there you go, fellas. All you have to do is ask. Steve Young, not that Steve Young, is the former CEO of Young's Communications LLC, Wycom. Is it a Leidos company? The largest telecommunications contractor in the state of Florida under his leadership from 1992 to 2021. An avid fisherman, Steve serves as governor of the board at Gali Yacht Club and committee member of the Space Coastal Conservation Association. He's also a large community contributor through Trinity Group. His giving foundation of him and owns Pineapples, a new restaurant in Melbourne, Florida. Do I look like I know what a Leidos is, boy? It's too dim. I can't see it. Can you put it in light mode? No. Yeah, Steve Young sounds like the kind of guy that has what I like to call frick you money. Yep. Guys, most of these people bought seats, guys. Like, you know, most of these people buy the seats or they're sponsored, like Mr. Dude Perfect up there. But that's cool. That's cool that New Shepard is getting routine flights. Like, I can't deny it. That's pretty damn cool. And I'll be honest, if I'm going to fly on a suborbital space tourism vehicle, it's going to be New Shepard. Because I want the authentic 3, 2, 1, blast, like liftoff, launch feel. Right? It would definitely be on New Shepard. Absolutely. Thank you. That was always allowed. I'm leaving because I choose to. Thank. Okay. Not 3, 2, 1, drop. They'll figure it out. But, Phil, all I'm saying is Virgin Galactic did one test flight with the founder on board and then immediately figured out that the entire vehicle needed to be redesigned and mothership. I'm just putting it out there, and that's not a knock. Nobody's ever tried to do stuff like this before. Not since like a B-52 with an X-15, right? So it's not a knock. It's just, yeah, that's really, I thought it was a flight path thing. Over the last 2 weeks, Virgin Galactic has bought they redesigned Spaceship Two and the mothership. And they contracted Boeing to build new motherships, and then they're building new spaceships. Spaceship 2 is called their Delta class ship. They're building them in what was it? Phoenix. Hooked on Phonics worked for me. Surface of the sun. No. That's Arizona, SpongeBob. I think they got some serious go fever to beat Bezos. Yeah. Did you know Phoenix is a lighthouse company? No, they're not. I'm hooked on Phoenix. What's the O there for? I don't understand. Anyway, so that's some pretty cool news. Pretty cool news coming from Blue. We got another new Shepard flight ready to go. That's pretty, dude. That's pretty perfect. Stay in school, kids. Did he even get on his own ship? Jeff Bezos? Yeah, he was the first person to launch on his own ship. Takes balls putting yourself on the rocket that your company designed and then launching into space. Yeah, you got to give credit where credit is due. That's a ballsy move. That is a ballsy freaking move, man. It's got to be the one with the least wins. Dude, I don't know. Perfect. Saps EJ for that terrible joke. Dude, stop hitting me. It's not perfect. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Fun fact, the 1-year anniversary of that flight was on the 20th. Yep. That's weird. Anyway, guys, we have some other stuff coming from Blue Origin. Actually, Thomas, where did this come from? Check this picture out. This is fan-made. But I think it was from a job posting. Race time. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Oh. This was put together from info from job postings. Look at this. So this is fan-made. This isn't from Blue, but they posted jobs about this. Clipper. Lunar Clipper. Which is a propellant refueling depot thingamajigger. So I can confirm that this is mostly accurate. Okay. What did your sources tell you that, Vulcan? It's speculation that's based off of what we know from various sources. Yeah, so sources. Check here. Oh, there's a whole thing here. Yeah, it's the Clipper. The Blue Origin's looking. This pretty much all but confirms that, you know, except from Blue themselves, that they are working on a reusable upper stage that's going to compete with SpaceX. Yeah, that started as Project Jarvis. So, if I had to guess, that thing that we saw at Slick 36, Thomas, it's probably a Pathfinder for this. Sources say pizza tastes delicious. If you cannot confirm that, Mank, I don't want to know about it. Whammy. Anyway. So,
Discovery, go at throttle.
hey Zay, Arca Heavy is 400 meters from your location in closing. Oh, alright. Thanks for the 12 months. Well, considering the Jarvis name is never mentioned again in Clipper, I assume they found a better name for the program. Yeah, but it's definitely some type of orbital refueling reusable upper stage, which is actually pretty cool. That archive doesn't work for me, dude. The archive doesn't work, whatever that is, Forge. But yeah, next bit of news, guys. The Atlas V booster for JPSS-2. Oh, no. The first stage for JPSS-2 has rolled out at Vandenberg. This is the external tank, the dock that they put at Vandenberg for moving external tanks around originally. Now it's used by the RS rocket ship to move stages around. That's the JPSS-2 Atlas V stage. That stage right there will launch the last ever Atlas 400 series fairing into space. JPSS-2, combined with JPSS-1 and JPSS Prime, I suppose, is a satellite constellation for polar surveying. So it's a polar survey satellite. That's what Joint Polar Survey Satellite is what that stands for. It is going to launch out of Vandenberg, and the core has arrived. Yep. Also, the last Atlas from Slick 3. The last one, huh? I'd assume they're gonna retool Slick 3 for Vulcan, right? The next launch from 3 will be Vulcan. Hard cutover, yeah. So, yeah, hey, whatever. As long as nothing's getting abandoned, I don't really care. No. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Come here. Come here. Come here. No. Jesus. Come here. Don't be shy. Nice truck. Nice truck. I like. Yes. That's not. Get that freaking shoe out of the way. Also forklift. Yeah, also forklift. But also very nice. Video. Hood open must be broken. Or they're just the guys showing off a nice engine. Here, let's see if it shows up in the B-roll footage. Alright. My boat. No Vulcan launches have been awarded yet for Slick 3. NSSL awards up to 2024 have been awarded already, so the earliest we could see Slick 3 being used again is 2025. I mean, that sounds like a long way away, Phil, but then you realize that 2025 is 3 years away, and you're like, huh. Okay. If the boat is a rockin', chat, don't bother knocking. Interesting patch. Homeboy's got an NSSL patch. Mine. Oh, that's cool. Those aren't seagulls. I know they were pelicans. Shut up. So you want to see something super interesting? You wouldn't really think about this at all, but it makes sense when you kind of look at it for a moment. Like, so there's a hingeable part of that door. So the door has a hinge. The hinge is right there, and then there's obviously the hinge at the front of the door, right? There, and it has that little lip right there. That's to compensate for the boat rocking around. Look. If you look, the boat's going up and down, and the ramp is just pivoting. Interesting. Oh, guy's got the backs down. Here's a fun chart that you made. Oh, that's fun. Clear prop. Wait. Yeah, go. I hear you. Oh. Get the crawler gear going. There it goes. Dude, she bogged for a second. You see that, Gaw? She bogged for a second. It's like, all right, we're good. Get that crawler gear going, boy. Or, well, not a crawler gear. It's just first gear. So, cool thing about Atlas, see that little hook right there? That's where the bridge crane's going to pick it up. The trailer, the fifth wheel trailer adapter here that bolts to Atlas 5 is the same thing as that the crane picks up. Bridge crane picks that up.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Wait a minute. Where's the truck? Blue? A few hours later, and Twitch finally gives you the button. Blue! Where's the truck? Damn it! Wait, that would mean that one of the NSSL guys is rolling around with that. Hold on. Look at the frickin' California coast, man. It's frickin' beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like upsetting how pretty that is. Where's the damn truck? Truck guy's like, nah, I'm good. That's nice. Wow. This is a lot of footage. You can tell it's Vandenberg because of the way it is. Yeah, Scorpion. Yeah, no, it's faster. Alright, now, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm peeping for the damn truck. Where is it? Everybody's wearing hoodies, and it's California. Alright. Everyone's wearing hoodies and jeans. So you guys tell me. You guys tell me how cold it is in California. What are we watching? Watching United Launch Alliance, a rocket company, move their rocket around. It's probably like 65 degrees. 65 degrees is freezing for those guys. Laldog's like, yeah. I'd be wearing shorts, man. From SF, can confirm. That K-Whopper right there. That's some cool footage. I'm a little disappointed. Disappointed! That was a bad idea. Okay, alright. I'd be wearing shorts too, but that's because I find jeans uncomfortable. Oh, your California is showing, lol dog. Jeez. Alright, so, pretty cool picture. Next bit of news here is coming from Johnson Space Center. We have the shots of the crew from Crew 5. Here. Forklift. Are you alright? Sure. Sure, man. There's Nicole Mann right there. Anna Kikna from Ruski. Koichi Wakata. Wakata-san. So desu ne. And then Josh Casada. Pretty cool. That's the Crew 5 mission. The Crew 5 mission should be go for launch net September 29th because not because of any particular reason with the crew or the Dragon or the second stage, but the first stage was being transported across the country for this launch and pulled an 11-foot 8. I think I broke Twitch. I bought a 6-month sub, but it still says I'm subbed through Prime. Give it a couple of days, Blue. Did the shuttle ever plan on launching from Vandenberg? Why, yes. Yes, it did. It pulled an 11-foot 8. Falcon 9's interstage hit a bridge. Slick 6, baby, let's go! Ark, feast your eyes. Because it will be a feast. Feast your eyes on that. Enterprise. Used for fitment tests at Slick 6 at Vandenberg. Oh, yeah. Satoshi Furukawa is screwed then, okay? Oh, alright, whatever. Yeah. The Air Force it was part of the shuttle program from basically the beginning, and so they built their own pad at Vandenberg for launches, and literally finished the multi-billion-dollar pad, and then Challenger happened, and then they never used it again. Yeah. Okay. And then they promptly pulled out of the shuttle program. Which, you know, that's just a shame. Because the shuttle do be looking good in California, though. What is NASA replacing these with? Replacing? Oh, Please tell me they didn't hit the bridge. Falcon 9 did an 11-foot 8. That's why the booster is delayed by a month. Look at that. So yeah, they got up to the point where they were doing fitment tests on the pad. The pad was basically ready to go. They were even gearing up for the first mission, which would have been STS-62A in pretty much spring of 1986. And then Challenger happened, and then the Air Force said, "Oh, geez, sorry, we want to use Titan instead." Dude, it is a pretty launch pad. It's picturesque as hell. Here's Guy. M16A1. Nice. But also... Ford, you crazy. Ford used the shuttle as an advertisement for aerodynamics. It's still funny. Yes, our car is very aerodynamic. The space shuttle goes fast. It's aerodynamic, right? It looked like it, Kuro. Yeah, that's not... The shuttle is probably not the best thing to advertise for aerodynamics. Like... .37 coefficient of drag actually is not too bad. But also, it's got a 2.8 V6. That's the same engine that Ford put into Mondeo, by the way. Yeah. True story. But also, look at that. You got three real rows, not 2.5 like when they say 3 rows nowadays. But yeah, I have all these really awesome pictures, Ark, of all the fitment footage. All these pictures became public because the Air Force pulled out of the shuttle program. Probably never would have had access to these if they were still launching from there. Look at that thing. It's aesthetic as frick, dude. Oh. Look at all that room. So much room for activities. So the Slick 6 was a fixed pad system. They weren't using crawler transporters. They had mobile service towers that would just build the vehicle. They'd build the stack right on the pad, and then the towers would move out of the way. And then a payload changeout room would move into position. It's different than this, where they had to move the whole launcher, etc., right? It was basically a custom-built pad for the shuttle. Like, it was purpose-built just for it. This is probably what shuttle pads would have looked like if NASA didn't decide to just keep using Complex 39, which was that was the low-cost solution. But yeah, really freaking cool. Payload prep area, and then the satellites would get loaded into the PCR. The PCR would go through the shuttle assembly building and load payloads into spy satellites into the shuttle's payload bay. Really freaking cool. In my garage, I have a poster of the STS-1 launch. Nice. What movie was that? I can't remember. I want to make a Project Car Aerostar and paint it up like the shuttle. It's not a bad idea, Jared, but you're not going to find those things. Nobody wanted those things even in the 80s. So much room for activities. That's Step Brothers. But yeah, Ark. They had a whole... Dude, they had everything. I've traced all the infrastructure, dude. I found how they were going to deliver everything, where they were going to deliver it. That, where we just saw Atlas get unloaded... Where we just saw Atlas get unloaded was, that infrastructure, that dock was built to deliver external tanks. That's what it was supposed to do. Such a smart way of doing it, too. Too bad we never saw shuttle launches. I mean, Lawdog, just think about how quickly you could turn that around. You turn that pad around in 2 seconds. And, okay, more importantly, you could store it indoors. Your family had an Aerostar? Nice. Moonscape or Moonfall, they used it for a launch. Yeah, it was one of those movies. But yeah, anyway, next bit of news here, fellas. Not particularly good news, but Astra had their earnings report today. Now, I haven't watched it, but also a Twitter user, Jack Whitlock, who's a writer for Inner SpaceNet, got hold of an SEC filing of one of Astra's founders cashing out stock to the tune of 1.3 million. I am not going to sit here and tell you like I'm not going to sit here and say that the CFO of Astra cashing out stock like that one day before their earnings call is a good thing. But who knows? Let me look. Look at the sale date. All right, let me see. Oh, that was a month ago, or 2 months ago, excuse me. Sorry. Time in my brain has been screwed up since COVID. I'm sure people understand. Interesting. The guy cashed out a lot of stock a little while ago. That was back in May. Hang on. Yeah, that was after one of the failures. Yeah, that was fail. Good. Fail again. Yeah, that was after it rebounded after the stock tanked because they had a failure. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. Now, I noticed that this guy... I don't know what... I don't understand what's going on here. Guys, I just, sometimes there's just no need for a comment. I don't need to say anything. Jack cropped out the picture to not include something that was the bottom, which ESG Hound called him out on for. Oh, great. Okay, what's at the bottom? Let's see what's at in the bottom, in the bajo. I'm all for dumping on Astra's shady deal. Who is this guy? I don't. I'll be honest, fellas. You'd have to explain what that means to me. It's. I ain't about to. What does that mean? Vesting 99,000 shares. I don't understand what that means. I don't speak stonks. He had to pay taxes on his shares at a value of 255. So what does that mean? Vesting is when you get your shares converted to real stock. Oh, okay. And then capital gain. I see. Because it appreciated. Yeah, capital gains. You got to pay taxes on the appreciation. The government needs your money, am I right? Realized gains. Why don't they realize these pressure tanks? Got them. Capital gains. Yeah. Gotta pay the protection money, am I right? Anyway. So, I haven't seen their earnings meeting today, to be honest. For what it's worth, I like Astra. I understand why they're having problems with their rocket, but they can rapidly prototype. So, they're rapidly prototyping because they're using off-the-shelf components. That's the honest truth. The rocket's just made out of sheet metal. It's very simple. So it's going to take some time to hone that in if you're going to use off-the-shelf stuff like that. That's why using off-the-shelf stuff gets, even though it's off-the-shelf, sometimes that can get expensive. But, is there any... Oh, it's August 4th. Yeah. Thomas, I'm very scatterbrained today, dude. So you're going to have to deal... You're going to have to bear with me here. I was about to say you're going to have to deal with it. See, I can't even speak straight, dude. I'll be honest, I'm worried about coughing again, but... Like I said, eating makes it go away for whatever reason. I'm not sure what's going on there. Probably got 3 to 4 million in compensation. Man, what am I doing wrong? It recollects your mucus. Is mucus stored in the pressure tanks? So bowl of goldfish? Yeah, something like that. All right. So Space Scout Vulcan found this footage here. It's a little bit of a subject change. So, you know what? Vulcan, we are presenting this footage without context. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to present this without context, and we're going to see what happens. They're just getting rid of an annoying intern. Orange was sus, but they're not venting. They're putting Orange inside. This is one of your greatest finds of all time. So what we're seeing here is this was some NASA B-roll footage, and guys, this is inside the White Room with black curtains. That's Orion right there. The Orion capsule's right there. There's the outer fairing shroud. This is at the White Room. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you drilled a hole in the floor right here, it would be about a 350-foot drop down to the ground. This is the White Room because the capsule's right there. NASA's loading in their instrumentation mannequins. Basically, the anthropomorphic test dummy. It's crash test. It's a crash test dummy minus the crash. It's designed to mimic crew being in the seat. They're going to use it for instrumentation during the Artemis 1 mission. That is Orion right there. Orion's at the top of the SLS. This is inside of the crew access arm, which is cool. Are they planking? No. Yeah. Would it be a 350-foot drop to the ground? Actually, yeah, that's about right. 35 stories through that floor is the ground. And you know what the crazy part is? They're still inside. This is inside of the VAB. Is that an aerospace grade piece of plywood? Oh yeah. It's not cheap, but I'm sure the government will buy it. That actually is a really nice piece of wood. It's definitely been stained. Yeah, they stained Mavans did. You see that? You see this? You see this stuff? They stained this thing. That hatch, though. Yeah, that's why you got to pay capital gains tax, Demon, so, you know, we can get nice pieces of plywood. Can't send splinters into space. That's actually true. This is positive pressure for the capsule. Basically, they have air blowing into the capsule. It creates a draft right here, so no dust and stuff gets in. That's what the yellow tube is for. And, man, Orion's hatch, though. Actually, that's the fairing hatch. The real hatch is behind this tinfoil. I see it. You could just see the shiny bits right there, Volcoin. That's the hatch of the Beppis? What's Beppis? Where? Who's a Beppis? Alright. It's almost time for racing, dudes. So I got one last thing that I want to share with everybody today. Look at this. So hey, good day. Race my vans. Race my vans. So this is coming off sam.gov, which shows this site shows solicitations. So like for NASA. What's up, nerds? I just cleaned the truck out for the first time in a year. Found so much stuff. Nice. No. The Orion hatch opens outward. It opens outward, Gaw. Yeah. Mind linking you this? Link my vans. Post my vans. So, NASA KSP provides notice the agency plans to issue An announcement for proposals for lease of VAB High Bay 1. Only vans. The meme lord is building multiple launch sites. He will need multiple VABs. So this is an offer for NASA to lease out one of the high bays, High Bay 1, in the VAB. Yeah, I know, Jackal. It's really goddamn annoying. I hate it. Yeah, I hate it. Is there any word on the solicitation, on interested parties in the solicitation here? Oh, it's not a solicitation for contract proposals. Oh, okay. It's not, yeah, it's the high bay that's next to it. It's between the firing rooms and high bay 3. It's interesting how it was high bay 2 and now and then they took that off the table and now it's high bay 1. I don't understand why it would be high bay 1 and not high bay 2, but whatever. The high bay that's still in shuttle config. Does that mean the shuttle's coming back? Hey Tron, what's going on? Guys, are we far enough out that I can just, you know, hit the lottery and then start up the shuttle program again as a private company? Can we do that? Is that like possible? No, screw Shuttle 2.0. Legacy design will be fine. Just add a little something here and there. It'll be good. They want someone to clean out High Bay 1 for them. Yep. I think they're putting High Bay 1 and 2. You have $3. Well, okay. No, like I didn't ask if you had money, Ark. That's good. $3 is good. That's pretty gangsta. Like, is there, like, could we just build new shuttles? Is that a thing? Like, hey, Meister, what's going on? Do you think that's, like, doable? Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. I heard the Smithsonian has some junkers. I don't need those, Ark. I just need to we'll build new stock. It's fine. Is the Mega Millions high, Tron? I'll play it. Sure, why not? I would like to mention that I have $4 to add. All right, cool. We got $7. We need about, I would say, okay. All right. I'm not about to tell you like I've thought about this, okay? I'm not about to say that I've probably spent way more time thinking about this and how long it would take. I'm not about to say that. I'm not about to say that I've put some thought into it. However, ballpark, $10 billion is what we need. We would need $10 billion, and we would need about 8 to 10 years to do all the testing, get it done right, and get everything back up to snuff. About that. Can we just give $154 billion to build new shuttles and then tell them we will save 30? Yeah, it's a good idea. They usually go for that. Congressman bans. All I know is a certain ULA is investigating options for additional Vulcan launch pads at the Cape, and LC-39B is an awfully simple upgrade path for it. Forge, what did you find? What did you find? What have you found? Timmy's stuck in the well, Forge? Master Blan? This is an RFI again. When was this put out? Yeah, that August 31st, 2021, man. That's long gone. By the time it's operational, Starship would have landed people on Mars. It's not competing with Starship, Lundprud, remember? Shuttle. I'm down. Let's get a few PowerPoints together and go chat with Elon. Want me to give him a ring? Yeah, let's give him a ring. We'll give him a ring. It'll be good. How much to develop engines to launch shuttle without SRBs? I would retain the solids, but liquids would be nice. That's the High Bay 2 RFI. It looks like they might move the same for High Bay 1. They no longer plan to lease High Bay 2, which is why High Bay 1 plans showed up. Yeah, Thomas, I actually am very curious why they switched from High Bay 2 to 1. That's very strange. Why would you do... Like, what's the difference? Who cares? Shuttle with Raptors? Shuttle with Vectors, Ark, and you got yourself a deal. Omega was High Bay 2, Forge, yeah. Maybe Omega's back on the books. Dude, all right. I'm not gonna say like I really want this to happen or anything, but look, man, Antares is in trouble. There's only 2 engines. There's only 2 sets of RD-181s left. Or, well, 2 RD-181s if you really want to be technical. Now would be a pretty good time to rope that BOLE contract in with Omega and then launch the rest of those Cygnus capsules on an Omega. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? Now would be a pretty good time to do that. How much tons to orbit does Starship have compared to the shuttle? Starship could move a space shuttle into orbit. That's how much. Yeah. I'll throw in a wrench into it. Relativity is preparing assembly for Terran R. Didn't they already destroy the ML? There's still 2 left over. There's 2 shuttle MLs left over. One is sitting in High Bay 1 and the other one's sitting in High Bay 2. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. The other one that they were using was scrapped. High Bay 4 is empty and has literally been empty since the end of the shuttle program. They were using it to stage SRBs and store external tanks. And High Bay 3 has been basically... They started retooling it for Ares 1, stopped, and then started retooling it for SLS. My mind is made up. I love the shuttle, but Starship sounds better. I will stop obsessing about the shuttle, Yuri, when Starship and Super Heavy fly into space, Super Heavy comes back down, gets caught by the tower, lands, gets put back on the pad. Starship goes up into space, delivers some Starlink satellites, comes through re-entry, comes back down, lands, gets caught by the chopsticks, and then restacked. That is when I will let my love for the shuttle go for Starship. Only then. So never. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, man. Just shut your mouth. No. Yeah. That is the only time when I will let it go. Other than that, the shuttle will still reign supreme as the most Chad tier launch vehicle ever devised by man. No, it only needs to do it once, Engine Uber. That's fine. Only once. And then hopefully you launch it again. Twice would be great. But it only needs to do it once. And then I'll be like, alright, we good. Would you travel to Bolca for the orbital flight test? Yep. Based on payload capacity, how many Starlink sats could Starship take at once? Well, Starship is designed to launch a different type of satellite than Falcon. Different Starlink. Starlink version 2. Starlink V2 is 7 meters wide. 7 meter by 3... Yeah, 7 by 3. 7 meter by 3 meters. So 21 feet by about 10 feet. 20 by 10. Let's say 20 by 10. Yeah, Starlink V2 sats are huge. And how many of those can it take? I'm not entirely sure. 20? 30? Yes amount? Yeah. Oh. BI3D, check this out. OE. This is their payload dispenser. Guy 3D modeled it. Yeah, see? This is the payload changeout thing. Yes, my vans, yep. An interesting thing to note is that the payload door has been moved up a ring. Yeah. Flanking, what is that? Joey B has another launch attempt tomorrow. I think he's going to stick it. I think he'll get it, Ark. Anyway. Yeah, he'll get it. Flykin, okay. Hey, just got home from the ER. My mom has a headache for 12 days now. She got a CAT scan, came back fine. She got some meds. Now we're home. We were there for 9 hours. Oh, okay. Where are we racing tonight? I don't know, but I think you're looking handsome tonight. Oh, yeah, I'm looking handsome tonight? Oh. All right. Well, shoot. Thank you very much. Fellas, I'm gonna I'm gonna try to race tonight and see how far we can get. Hopefully I don't suck. Probably going to suck because it's me. I am really bad at doing this. How's the heat? It's 9:30 at night. It's 200 laps at Atlanta. I found a possible mod for your pedals. I am not interested in modifying anything setup related. Hellfish until we move. Hey Rocky, what's going on? Not to gatekeep heat, but it's 86 in my room. Ark, I have an air conditioner blowing on me and it's still that hot. That's how much heat my computer's put off. Do you think it will survive? This is near Cromwell, Oklahoma. Brent Havens shot this video. He shot this video of a wind turbine getting struck by lightning. Oh. Oh no. Oh yeah, no, that's gonna break. Yeah, that thing will obliterate it itself. You can already see the blades melting. Like that. And then the thing will obliterate itself because of off-balance rotating mechanism.